Oh, yeah, that feels good.
There you go. Nice timing.
Live post Breeders' Cup Saturday. I am here with Aaron Halterman, Jared Welch, the Racing Dudes, Vinny Blunt for Pick by Dynasty, and the man who makes the beautiful docile tones that you hear in every podcast rap, Ryan Stillman, is with us here to talk about Breeders' Cup Saturday. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Whew, I had a fun one this weekend. I'm going to take a big sip of this because I had a good time today. How about you guys?
Well, yeah, well, I'll cheers to that. So, we were there, obviously, and it was unbelievable. Today, Halterman made a comment this morning. He's like, "Hey, I think today's going to be a good day," and it was. It was very good, both profitable and just to have one race. You kind of forget about that experience of that one race after another of these massive performances, and that's what we got today. So yeah, it was in the weather. By the way, I mean, good Lord, the weather. 2020 at least blessed it. And by the way, no lines at the bars, Magic. That was key to today.
That always helps. My bar at home has got a very nice big line of these White Claws here. We had a really eventful day right before we went on air. I asked you guys if you would guess how many track records were broken this weekend, and we saw 6 of them. So we get to talk about all those performances. Vinny, I'm going to start with you, though. Just your general overall feeling about how the day went at Breeders' Cup Saturday.
I thought it was really good. The races were exciting. There was, the races were exciting. Some prices, so it wasn't just favorite after favorite winning. And I think for the most part, I think the best horse won pretty much every Breeders' Cup race.
Well, we're going to disagree a little bit on that. Ryan Stillman, what did you think about Breeders' Cup Saturday?
I thought it was awesome. I think there was something for everyone, right? If you weren't a bettor and you just love racing and the storylines, you had horses like Whitmore. If you were somebody that was looking for a horse of the year, like just nothing to go wild, you got your answer. Whether you're happy with it or not, that's your answer. The Baffert controversy, all of it. I mean, it was a fun Breeders' Cup Classic. There was a lot going on, and I hope everyone cashed. And I want to shout out Saratoga Slim, who did a live show for 4 hours with Vinny. We had on Michael Myers, who's a big fan of your guys' show. He was on. He actually gave out the winning Pick 4 ticket himself, played along. Congratulations to him. And I think racing won today, guys. Everybody came back from what I saw healthy and alive, and we live to have another Breeders' Cup, and it was a good way to end 2020. What did you guys think? Let's go.
That's a good way of saying it.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with the ending of it. I thought it was a shame that authentic improbable exacta, with Baffert winning, going 1-2 there. I thought that was kind of disappointing, but overall the day was incredible, and the Classic was a fun race, but it was just that was the kind of we had a hell of a day, and Halter and I, the race ended and they weren't even done. I mean, they weren't even back. They hadn't even come back to unsaddle, and Halter was like, "Ready to go?" Like, yeah. Like, Bob Baffert just went run 2 in the Classic. Let's get the F out of here.
Yeah, that's our cue to go. Well, listen, let's start off with talking about the Breeders' Cup Classic. It's what's freshest in everybody's minds. It was the last race that we got to see, and all the talk going in is that this was going to decide 3-year-old of the year, horse of the year, and then authentic wins. This is your Kentucky Derby champion wins the Breeders' Cup Classic for the first time since American Pharoah did it in 2015 over this course and distance, and he actually did it in a much faster time than American Pharoah, almost a second, depending on which final time you're looking at there. Amongst all the track records we saw, this one I think it was inevitable. I put a poll out on Twitter asking to see, and it was overwhelmingly 2-1. People thought that authentic was going to go faster, but Aaron and Jared, you guys were there. Overall for the weekend, And then especially with the Classic, did these look like track record breaking performances, or is it one of those things where you had so many great horses that you just had the winner running the fastest?
I think throw out the track records. I don't think those mean much of anything. I mean, anytime you have 6 track records set, then that just means that, kind of dumb. Just kind of the track was playing very fast. As far as the Classic, and as far as really all the track records, you have to realize the last time the Breeders' Cup was held here, it was like 32 degrees. It was almost snowing. It was a very nasty day. And today it was absolutely gorgeous, 72 degrees, not a cloud in the sky. And the track just played lightning fast. So, the times from today, as Kelby so elegantly put it on the chat, the times from today are absolute garbage. I do agree. Just take them with a grain of salt. But it doesn't mean we didn't see some really nice performances today. It's just that the track record thing, it doesn't mean anything to me.
Vinny, what about you? What did you think about his performance overall and kind of what it meant for the track record and everything?
I agree with the track record part. I mean, I think midway through the card, I think it was kind of, like you said, it was kind of inevitable that the track record was being, didn't matter who was winning. I mean, he won in, I wish they didn't let him walk on the front end. That's kind of my only complaint about the Classic, and I can see why they let him do it. But I mean, I feel like it's been a complaint in U.S. racing all year where a horse wins by just being able to set fractions on the front end. He wasn't really pressed at all. And he just, they tried to come at him, turn it for home, and he turned them away, and that was it. So,
well, let's build off of that, because I think that was one of the big issues that I took away from the race, and probably the rest of you guys as well, is that Authentic, when they keep giving him these early easy leads, he's going to go off and win. He's fast enough and he's talented enough to get the job done. But then you see what happens in the Preakness when he faced a little bit of a challenge. Didn't work out for him. My biggest complaint, Manny Franco, what the hell were you doing for 3/4 of that race? I get that the plan is to try and stalk off the rail, but when nobody goes after this horse that literally beats you doing exactly what's happening in front of you, at some point, halfway through the race, give up on holding up on 'Tis the Law and let him run. And I mean, try and go after Authentic. I was pretty mad about Manny Franco's ride. It's definitely one that he's going to want to take back and not get a Crafty Ride award on the Magic Mike show. But Aaron and Jared, you guys are shaking your heads. Did you agree with me on Manny Franco there?
Yeah. I mean, obviously being there, you have to, you focus on one or two horses, and you kind of have to follow those when you're there, because it's hard to, to keep track. We were right on the finish line on the rail, which is kind of fun to say, at the Classic, but there was no competition really for us to get there. So, so you kind of have to focus on a few horses. So we were focusing on. I was on Tom and I was on Tiz, and then of course Authentic. It was like they hit the top of the stretch, and it's almost like this. It's like the same song, and it's like this. We know it already. It hits the top of the stretch. You're like, it's over. It's over. Even though it probably was breathing down his neck, is like Authentic's not giving that up.
No.
And then at the track, and I don't know what it was like on the live feed, but we had no times. It popped up. The first quarter popped up 17 something. You're like, well, that's not right. And then it turned off. So we had zero clue of as far as how fast they were going. And so, just Authentic by himself, you kind of assume he's effing blazing, and then seeing those times somewhat decent, you're like, what the hell are they doing? And then we just watched the replay where we hopped on here, and Manny, come on. Like, what are you doing? I mean, he was right there, and he strangle-held him the whole time. And, he gave every opportunity to run, and he just didn't let him.
Well, I think the thing that bothers me the most about Manny Franco is we sat here, and if us 5 or 6 or how many people were on the podcast on that day when we were talking about the draw can sit here and say it, then certainly the trainer, the owners, and the jockey of the horse that's ridden the horse every time knows that you can't run that horse inside of other horses. So that's number one. It's just like either take him sharply back and get him to the outside, or do what you should have done, you stupid effing idiot. Just go clear the horses on your inside who are taking back, and just sit second instead of stalking Trip, you stupid freaking moron jockey who better not get 1 minute of sleep tonight because of that horse shit ride. It was really bad. But with that being said, no other speed horse in this race did their job, right? I mean, we were going to let Authentic get 3 links clear up the backside. I looked at Jared.
I've been watching him all year.
I looked at Jared up the backside. So, well, this is over. He's going to wire this effing field, and that's great. So I was very disappointed in the rides. I was very disappointed that Tiz the Law got the ride he did. I was very disappointed in Tom Zitot. He thought he ran like absolute garbage, just really shitty.
Yeah.
I just disappointment all around. Maximum Security, what are you doing? You're going to try to win from way up. I mean, that's ridiculous. Improbable. I thought. I guess I will say Improbable is the one horse that I thought I wasn't disappointed with. I thought he ran a really strong race, and of course, I'm not disappointed with Authentic. He won. He looked good. And I think it just kind of goes back to what I talked about, for 2 weeks at the Preakness. It's like, come on, like, how did you let this horse lose the Preakness? Why was this horse not on the lead? How did anybody get the jump on this horse? It's just crazy. But yeah, I mean, listen, you're gonna let that horse go out in front. You're not gonna catch him, and that's what happened.
It's like you could also ask Manny, like, did you not see the Preakness? Did you not see what exactly happened to try and beat this horse? It was a big mess there. I'll agree with you about Tom Zaytot. We talked a little bit about, you guys saw on the replay, the kickback bothered him, but he just didn't have that energy from the start. I think even watching him from out of the gate, he broke fine, but he just didn't have that usual kind of, I don't know, old man energy that he seemed to show earlier this year. So,
well, I think Halterman I was
saying this, yeah,
when they were on the backside there, and I looked at him. I said, "This is not good. He's way too far back. I don't like where he's at. He doesn't, there was like a pack. There was Authentic, and then there was a pack of them, and then there was Tom, and it was like, no, that he's too far back. Like he just does. He's not gonna have, like, it's one thing to close like he did at Oaklawn that day. It's another thing, or even Saratoga. It's another thing to do it against this field, and he obviously didn't have it. And then watching the replay, like you said, the kickback definitely bothered him. He was one that he sucked. Was just flat out bad. Yeah, exactly. Tiz, I thought
he sucked.
He sucked, but he probably should have been better. I mean, I don't think it's his fault necessarily.
He still sucked, but yeah,
Authentic. I don't know. I mean, good. I don't have a lot of words to say other than bad words.
Authentic didn't suck.
No, he was very good.
Yeah.
But Baffert, we can't celebrate, unfortunately, on this podcast about the, Gamine. We'll talk about her later. But Gamine absolutely destroying in the sprint. And then, of course, he runs 1-2. Maximum Security, the one no-show. Out of the Baffert barn. I mean, that guy, I guess he's done, right?
Well, you got to send him off to the breeding shed, right, Aaron?
I'm curious. Didn't Coolmore buy his breeding rights?
Mm-hmm. They bought it before the Saudi Cup.
Yeah, I'm curious what happens if that actually is if that's already set in stone, or if they're going to be able to get out of that. Because I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how that one's gonna work out.
Drugs are bad.
Drugs are bad. Yeah. I don't know about that. This person and Indelible asked earlier, our reaction if Gamine or Authentic comes up with a positive drug test. We can't say our real reaction because we try to keep this, PG-13 on the show. But lots of 4-letter words, I think, from everybody, with a mixture of no surprise as well. So.
The good news is they let you cash your tickets before the drug results come in. So that's the good news. You can cash your tickets and you can just get that over with. But after that, we'll see what happens.
All right. Before we move on to the Classic, any last thoughts from you guys? Any other horses that you want to talk about?
I think we have to also mention he's Horse of the Year. Authentic is he's Horse of the Year. Like, let me say that one more time. Authentic is Horse of the Year. Like, does that make any sense to anybody on here? Because we've been talking about it.
2020.
And it makes no sense. Like, we talked about, if you remember, Authentic, I was right after him in the draft, and he stole Authentic from me. I wanted Authentic. And we were laughing about the fact that, like, can you imagine a world where, like, that horse is going to win Horse of the Year? And yet here we are, and he does. And I mean, he deserves it, quote unquote, deserves it. Because he won a lot of races and he looked great and he won the Classic, and we knew that going into the race that the horse that wins this race is most likely going to be your horse of the year. But damn, I mean, I still can't quite comprehend that he did it.
Well, I just out of curiosity, perhaps maybe it wasn't as great of a field as we gave it credit for, because a lot of horses, there's really not that much of an excuse for a lot of these horses. I just got to say it right now. Like Tom, we gave you stumbled, you show up. He didn't show up. 'Tis the law. I get the ride was bad. This isn't a good look, guys. I mean, he had the 8 weeks off. I get he was inside, but if you're a good horse, you should be able to overcome these things to a certain extent. And I'm just being completely fair here. Authentic threw it down every time. Every dance he did, I give him a lot of credit. And, the one thing I'll say about the people that hate Bob Baffert, and I get it, because we all loved Bob Baffert at some point in our lives, right? He gave us Pharaoh, Justify, great moments. And it's pretty disappointing that this is the guy that gets hit with the drug infractions and all this. And we don't want to believe it, but it looks pretty bad. I have to give him this. Improbable, he did a fantastic training job with. Authentic, he did a fantastic training job with. He deserves a ton of credit because his horses did show up in this race, and other trainers can't say that today. Global Campaign showed up. When Global Campaign is sort of a giveaway that this might not have been the greatest Breeders' Cup field we had ever. That horse, if these horses were who they were, how is he in the trifecta? So it's not a knock on anybody handicapping it. I think a lot of horses might not have shown up is what I'm trying to get at here. It's just Authentic's a good horse. Maybe he's not as good as maybe it's just disappointing because he's not so spectacular. Maybe he is. Maybe I don't know. I think if the trifecta had been something like 'Tis the Law, Authentic, and Improbable, would you guys still feel this way? I don't know. I mean, is it just disappointment because a lot of horses just sucked today? Why is it so bad?
So you're telling me that the Woodward Handicap winner isn't good? I know that was a shit field to beat, but a grade 1 winner, riding a 2-race win streak, a 4-year-old Keeneland developing at the right time with a trainer who can say he didn't have 4 drug positives right before the Breeders' Cup. That's why Global Campaign was bad and the field is bad. I'm going to hard.
No. I'm not trying to knock him. Here's my point on it.
You kind of did though.
No. What I'm trying to say is, well, how come nobody here had Global Campaign then like that as far as the highly thought of winning this race?
I was going to say everybody. Magic did have Global Campaign.
Magic did.
And to be fair, I'm not trying to say Magic then to knock you on this that like he's bad. But did you pick him winning the race? Did you pick him beating 'Tis the Law? Did you pick him beating all the other horses? Tom's Day at Taunt? Like where was he on your thing?
I had him 4th, and he was a must play in my.
You had him
the
4th.
Ticket.
That's the point. So he moved up from 4th to 3rd. Okay, so we're not talking about this being a spectacular field when that horse is where you kind of thought it was. You thought 2 other horses were better than him, and 2 other horses were better than him. I mean, I'm just saying the argument here is that the horse was going to hit the Super, and he hit the 3rd spot. It doesn't make it a great field. I mean,
I don't even know what you're saying anymore.
My whole point is that maybe this just isn't that good of a group. My whole point is that maybe it's just not that good of a group, and Authentic's better than them, or maybe he is a good horse. But all this talk about Bob Baffert, he deserves a lot of credit. He proved that he could do it. The horse wasn't drugged.
So Ryan Stillman bets nothing on any of these races compared to us, and Ryan Stillman is more angry about Authentic winning this race than anybody that's on the live feed.
I actually liked Authentic coming into this. I actually never knocked that horse.
Yeah,
I never knocked Authentic.
So what's happening here is Ryan loves Bob Baffert, and that's the honest God truth.
That's not what's happening.
He's trying to stick up for Bob a little bit, and I don't blame him. That's fine. Hey, listen, we're all against him, and he likes him, and we need to have that opposing view, and that's fine. As far as what's Ryan saying about maybe the Classic sucked, it wasn't that good. I will say this, Ryan, some horses in this race absolutely sucked today, and so. Do I think it was a bad race? No, but am I kind of almost agreeing with Ryan Stillman? Yeah, maybe a little bit because, Ryan, Magic like Global Campaign, but I sure as hell didn't, and he got 3rd in the race, So I don't think Ryan is completely off base with this. 'Tis the Law, blue chunks. He was fucking terrible. And then I really think Tom Zata was maybe the most overhyped horse ever in the history of horse racing. He was awful in this race. And I was one that overhyped him. That's not me talking bad about other people. I was as well. I thought he would run a huge race. So
in comparison to
maybe you're right.
What we expected the Classic to be, it disappointed. Yes.
Yeah,
that's what I was trying to say. And I'm sorry if I came off rude to you, Magic. It wasn't a knock there. My point being that maybe it just wasn't that good. And I never said that I love Bob Baffert. Never said I hate him or like him. Come on.
Dude,
I'm just trying to give out
that
t-shirt, okay?
Yeah.
You have an I love Bob Baffert t-shirt.
Yeah.
We've seen it. All
It was
right.
one time, Jared.
I saw you sleeping at the Breeders'
It was one time.
Well, listen, I think Ryan got oddly angry for sure.
Yeah, very.
But I do think his point is pretty valid, actually. This for being one of the best Breeders' Cup Classics ever, it sucked ass actually when it happened, and I think that's kind of what he was getting at, and I kind of agree with him.
When you
Thank
compare
you for translating. That's kind of what I was saying, very angrily and in non-verbally, but that's what I was saying.
I just love that Ryan is the most controversial person on this podcast right now.
Right?
Hey, do you have lidocaine in your system, buddy?
Oh,
I
man.
might today. I'm on one.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
Ryan doesn't drink, but he gets injections of lidocaine.
Whatever. Let's turn the page on it.
Grade.
Listen, I think that was great radio. What just happened?
Yeah,
that was amazing.
Yeah, terrible to watch because we all look like this, but great radio to listen to. Let's talk about the Breeders' Cup Turf now. Boy, this was one of the most exciting races of the day. Aaron and I had a big old slobber fest, texting each other back and forth about this and the turf race before it, or 2 races before it. But let's first talk about Tarnawa, boys. This was this filly's something special. And I'd said in the lead up, anytime someone would ask me about this race, I was like, you have to watch Tarnawa's replays because they're incredible. This is a special filly. And then she went out and did that. And I felt like, Aaron, it validated everything you and I had thought so strongly about her and the horses she was beating. So when you saw Tarnawa at, maybe halfway home, maybe it was the top of the stretch, when you were there live, walk me through your emotions of that stretch run there.
First of all, I'm so glad you phrased the question like this, because it was a lot of anger for most of the race, right? So this was the race that everybody that bought the guide, this is why you're up $313 right now after betting our article that Jared and I put together, because this race paid $320. So with Tarnawa, Jared and I were really pissed, right? Because even at the top of the stretch, we looked at each other and it's like, yeah, well, she's not going to fire. That effing sucks.
Not only that, but it was like Channel Maker's going to wire this.
Yeah, it's like I cannot believe Channel Maker's going to win this race. I'm so pissed right now.
Yeah,
and it Magic. I got to tell you something. Literally within 2 seconds from top of the stretch to when they straightened out, I looked at Jared and said, we got the winner. We got to get the second place horse home because that horse is flying, and there is not a horse in the world that's gonna keep that horse from winning.
From the time I looked at the screen to shift left to the live of them actually running, I was like, she's got it.
Yeah,
like it was like, oh shit, she's got it. Like that's how fast that was.
It went from I'm so mad we even played any bets in this race to I'm so mad we didn't bet her to win because stupid Magical's not going to get there to. I think Magical got there. I hope she got there. But Tarnawa, let's talk about her, though, to start. This is a world-class racehorse. I thought this was the best horse I saw all day. Listen, to go from I don't think she's going to hit the board to I know she's going to win, those are the kind of moves that you rarely see, where you can watch a horse and you're tracking the horse that you picked on top the whole way, and you go from I'm so pissed that I picked this horse to oh, we're going to win by 5. I mean, it was really amazing.
Yeah, it was. And the Monomoy girl bet, which we'll talk about next, and then the exacta here, hammering this exacta. That's what made the day for us. And it just seemed like a no-brainer. Granted, we had to get Magical up, and she waited her sweet ass as long as she could to get up there.
It was that close, boys.
Yeah, she did.
I watched that live, on the live finish line. I was like, oh shit, I don't know if she got there.
We looked at each other like, I think, but this could be really bad.
and it would have been the story of the Breeders' Cup, because for the most part, every bet we played, it was like we were right there. We just couldn't quite finish it off. Thank goodness she did, and really cashed in huge for us there.
Vinny, what did you think about the turf race? Because especially with Channel Maker, I thought Channel Maker ran the race of his life in defeat here. He went and did what he needed to do. He went straight to the front. He likes a little bit of giving the ground, so he got that with Keeneland because for most of the day it was rated good. And then you end up having, Channel Maker gets caught, finishes third, but it was a great effort from him. Your overall thoughts on the turf race?
Yeah, he ran 1,000 times better than I thought he was going to. All day on the live stream, I thought I said it was a 2-horse race between Tarnawa and Magical, and that was they're the only 2 horses you needed to use in that race and move on. And he definitely gave me a scare. But yeah, that was that was a heck of a turn of the foot. I with those fractions, I was like, all right, Magical's sitting good, but I don't know if Tarnawa was going to be able to close. But then, like you said, as soon as they straightened up for home, I didn't think there was a question that she was going to end up getting up. But I actually thought I don't know if I would have to. I got to watch the replay. I think whoever was on Magical there knew that he was going to be able to edge out Channel Maker. I don't think he thought the pace was quick enough from anybody from the back of the pack, because as soon as Tarnawa really got close enough, Magical turned it on, and it was like I think he was trying to aim for just beating Channel Maker and didn't account for the back. So that was kind of like because I had him flipped on the guide, but that's that was the only two I used. I played that exacta hard like you guys did, and used them both in doubles. So it ended up being a great race for me.
Well, that Ryan Morris, who was on Magical, and he made a comment after the race, like we were disappointed. Like you could tell, like that they thought they could win the race, and to your point, he was probably like, oh shit, we beat Channel Maker, but did not Tarnawa went right by them both.
Ryan, are you mad about anything this race?
I don't know what I was mad about in the last one, to be quite honest. I feel like I was on lidocaine, as somebody said in the comments. I don't know, but good race, fun race.
Well, I'll say this, Magic, and I'm going to give you all the credit in the world for this, because I looked at the past performances, and I was on Tarnawa to win, but it wasn't like a heavy opinion. And then we talked about the race replays, and you said I just got chills watching this horse, and so I went back and watched, and I was like, wow, he spotted something here. And not only did it help with this race, and basically what I told Jared when we put together the article for the guide, I said I think the 3 is far and away the best horse. I even wrote an article, potential single, and Tarnawa was one of them, Magic, because, and again 100% because of what you said. And so not only we did okay, we're going to have the 3 here, and then we're going to do Magical, because that's just a world-class horse and we can rely on her, and it worked out. But not only that, but it helped us in the race we'll talk about later. It helped me in a race we'll talk about later. So yeah, Magic, 100% shout out to you. I think it speaks for how far you've come in this game to be able to spot that is really fantastic.
Well, thank you, Aaron. I appreciate that. Well, I take all my learning from you guys. So mostly you, not the guy next to you. So I'll
the better dude who hired you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
right. Always. I do want to say that the real credit for all of this, though, for you guys hitting the exact, I mean, you had it in the guide beforehand, but when you talked to that guy 2 nights ago at the Irish bar, the little Irish guy, and he told you Magical and Tarnawa and Mogul, and if you just had to listen to that little guy, and boom, you've got the exacta right there. So really, that guy's the star.
He was my little lucky charm. I put him in my pocket after that conversation. I mean, he's my little lucky charm. I love that guy.
Well, let's talk about the race prior to this. This was, for me, one of the best ones. The Breeders' Cup Longines Distaff. We got to see so many horses in their final races, and very few of the ones that we knew were retiring were going to end up staying through into possibly race again next year. They didn't really win, but this girl did it. Monomoy Girl goes out on top, winning another Distaff title, wins it in 2018, misses the year and a half. COVID screws it up. Colic almost kills her. She says, you know what? I got this. Everybody who thought that she wasn't as good as Swiss Skydiver, Ryan, you guys can go bury your head in sand, because Monomoy Girl just told you, I'm still the queen, bitch.
Oh, boy.
Ryan, do you have a comment to that?
I mean, I mainly picked her so I could say something about Cox. It was a Cox joke that I was trying to make work. But I do think that she's one of the best I've ever seen, and I'm super happy for her and her connections. And congratulations, hats off. And that's what the game's about, man. You try to take – I figured Swiss not facing Authentic in the Classic, they must have known what they were doing. But I clearly was wrong.
Well, Jared, did they know what they were doing?
Are you guys ready?
Yes.
Uh-oh. Here comes the rant.
Are you guys ready? Because I've been preaching about this for a week, at least a week now, 2 weeks.
Preach.
I mean, Swiss Skydiver just got her ass pounded. Okay, I mean that's his bottom line. You watch the stretch. You watch the stretch. There's no excuse. I know she broke poorly, but for her to not even hit, she wouldn't even in the top 5. I mean, she was flat. Okay. And I told you I told you Monomoy Girl was going to kill her. She did. She was my best bet of the Breeders' Cup. Thomas, she's not on here. He stood by that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she was unbelievable. She did exactly what I thought she did. I mean, of course, I didn't think Swiss Skydiver would run as poorly. Swiss got pounded by the Cox. Okay,
The Cox train, baby.
Very good. Sometimes that happens, So Cox pounded a lot of things this weekend. So just to be clear, but no, it's it's a tricky thing, right? Because Authentic obviously was awesome in the Classic, and he got beat by Swiss Skydiver in the Preakness. So you're like, damn. I mean, how good is she? I mean, what the start? Is she one that the start just killed her shot to win? Is she one that finally this crazy campaign she had this year finally caught up to her today and racing against a horse like Monomoy Girl? She was like, no, not going to do it. I don't know, but she was really bad today. And Monomoy Girl, Halter and I talked a little bit about this. She's one of those horses that she'll never win by like 10. She just kind of does enough every single time to win, and yet here we are again. One horse in her career has ever beat her, has ever finished in front of her across the wire. So they didn't. I listened afterwards to the press conference at the track, and they wouldn't say she's done, but I think she's done. I mean, she's going to the sale. I think she's done, and what a hell of a career this horse has had.
Well, Brad Cox had said, this came out on TVG at least in the lead up to the race, that they had talked to Brad Cox, and he said if the Classic wasn't 1.25 miles, she was doing well enough, he would have put her in the Classic. It was just that extra distance, which makes sense with a girl like her, that maybe that 1.25 miles was too much for her. But you brought up a good point, Jared. She does enough to win, and Florent Giroux rides her that way. He knows her as well as anyone does. He's the only jockey she's ever had, I believe, and he knew you have to wait and time this. And I think when he saw Robbie Alvarado try and make his Preakness move off the turn by diving inside, I think he jumped the gun, and then she likes to wait on horses. I mean, you can see the photos I'm looking at for the recap on our website. She's looking behind her. She's not looking forward. She's not looking at the cameras. She's looking behind her for someone to come play with her. And yet she missed the track record by 0.09 of a second. That didn't look like a track record breaking performance. That's how good she is, that she just won like that. Giroux celebrating. I love that. Vinny, I want to go to you when she came off the turn and she had the lead and Valiance was starting to make a little bit of a move, and even with Dunbar Road a little bit, was there any time in the race, in the stretch run, where you thought Monomoy Girl might get caught here?
So funny thing. So, because I was on the live stream with Slim was doing his own calls, and Slim loved Valiance. So yes. I'm watching it on my end, and Slim is calling Valiance that she's coming right up alongside of Monomoy Girl, and I'm looking at my screen, and I'm like, "Am I behind? Like, is she actually going to get caught?" And then she finished. Then Monomoy wins, and I'm just like, Slim, like she wasn't even a threat. Like, come on. But like Slim, the whole stretch, it was a great call. It was a great call, but yeah, the whole stretch, he's calling Valiance, and I'm looking at my screen, just like, am I not looking at the right race? But no, that was all. I mean, on my end, I didn't think there was a chance, but Slim made me doubt myself for a couple seconds in the stretch.
Oh, you can tell he's one of those announcers that you knew what his bet was,
But, right? That's what he said. That's what he said after. But serious question though, just with as bad as Swiss did today, and I know she stumbled at the break, and I know her campaign has been really good, but any chance you think she doesn't win 3-year-old of the year after what Gamine did?
You brought this up to us privately in our group convo.
Well, he brought it up on the live show when I was on there as well.
And honestly, I hadn't thought about it, Vinny, until you said it. I thought, damn, you know what? That's a really good question, because you have this recency factor of her destroying a field, Gamine, and Swiss Skydiver, completely, not showing up. So I there's some validation to that, I think. I I mean, I would still say Swiss. Just you win the Preakness against the boys. To me, that's enough. And considering her campaign, but it's amazing to think not only did her switching to run in the distaff may have hurt her chances to even win the 3-year-old filly of the year.
May I say something about Swiss now?
Shoot, go.
Okay, so when the race happened, when I was live or when we were live at the track, I couldn't listen. When you're at the track, you don't know what the hell's really going on, right? You know who won, and that's about it. And maybe you cashed a bet, maybe you didn't, but it's really hard to see. It's just that simple. So I knew she'd miss the break. That I could see, and I thought, oh my gosh, poor Kenny McPeak. Like misses the break with Simply Ravishing, misses the break with Swiss Skydiver, and ultimately it certainly didn't help her. But when I watched the replay with Jared, and Swiss Skydiver and Monomoy Girl are head and head basically at the top of the lane. Like the rail opened up. Like this is here's your gift.
Swiss ran shorter than Monomoy.
Swiss is right there. Swiss is almost ahead of Monomoy. And then all of a sudden Monomoy just takes off and Swiss backs up. Now listen, it wasn't an ideal trip. There's no doubt about it. Which you had a better chance to win with a better break. Absolutely. She still had a shot. I kind of think she bounced a bit because, okay, if she finishes maybe third or fourth, I go, well, that's really tough. But she was really nowhere to be found. She backed up in the stretch. So I think it was a little bit of bad luck and a little bit of she just didn't really quite have her A effort today. Listen, though, Vinny, to your question, I think regardless, she should be rewarded for the campaign. And I think she should be the 3-year-old filly of the year. I understand where you're coming from, though. And when you look at Gameen's races that she won, wow, were they really something, right? So there's a little bit of superstar factor versus campaign factor. And I think Swiss Skydiver will win out. But I do agree with you, especially after I thought about it. You brought it up in the live show, and not that I dismissed you, but I was just kind of like, no, I think it's Swiss. But when you really think about it, it might be closer than we think. So I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, because I agree with you. I think Swiss deserves it. I just, I hope throwing her in the, especially since, I think from multiple people this week said something about maybe Swiss wasn't really herself coming into this race. And then you see that effort. And then on top of that, you have Gameen's effort. Like, I just hope running her here didn't cost her, because I think even if they didn't run her, I still think she would is a definite to win because of the Preakness win. But then when you add that she finished fifth or sixth on top of that, it's like so I hope she still wins it. But
Gameen was beaten in one race this year, which is her entire career. She's only raced in 2020. She was beaten once. She now has 3 Grade 1 wins, including the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Sprint that we'll talk about. But I'm kind of with you guys. Jared, are you in the same boat as well? It should probably go to Swiss based on her overall campaign.
Yeah, Swiss should get it. Just because you should, like Halterman said and Vinny said, she should be rewarded for the campaign. She answered every call. She today was really, frankly, really the only race she didn't answer, as far as, even if she finished second, she didn't answer this one.
Well, I will say, Vinny, live when you said it, but now as Authentic won the Classic, she beat the Horse of the Year. That has to play a factor as well.
I hope so. Yeah, that's true.
You would really hope.
Horse of the Year.
Vinny said it best.
Right.
You would hope so.
You would hope. My worry is, there's people like us that we watch hundreds of races a year and we really know those horses. But then, unfortunately, there's people who get a vote at the end of the year that just look at the running lines and like, oh, Breeders' Cup win, check, and that's it.
Yeah.
So I hope that it. I
definitely think Gameen will get votes.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
I agree. I agree that it is a valid thing to bring up. Absolutely agree. Ryan, real quick before we move on to the next race, are you mad about anything in this race?
I'm not. I don't know what I was on in that one, but no, I'm not. I'm not mad anymore.
You were on lidocaine. We know that answer.
Yeah, I was on lidocaine, but I've been switched to a new trainer since the beginning of this show. They've switched me over to
you're good now.
From service to sheriffs, and I'm just great now. I'm good.
You mean Baffert to sheriffs? Go ahead.
Well, the last thing I'll say, I want to give a quick shout out to Dr. Miranda, who does the weekly previews for this site. She's been very good with the distaff division, not so much with the other ones, but very good with the distaff division this year. She gave out the exacta as well on the website, so which would included Singly Monomoy Girl on top. So I'm really happy for her. that she gets to go out on top. We're going to move back one race prior. Ryan is cranking from the ghost that has been haunting him. Mackie Man 13, that is a next level joke.
Yeah,
You have my
where was
respect
she
for
the
that.
ghost today?
Mackie Man, I love you, Mackie
Yeah,
Man.
shout out to Mackie Man. Clips are always winning.
Ryan, have you seen the ghost today?
The ghost almost gave me a pizza just now, but I was like, no. I'm getting roasted in this one. I'm not going to be eating on this pizza.
Well, Ryan deals with his ghost pizza. Let's talk about the Breeders' Cup Mile. This ends up giving us the biggest bomb, the biggest payout of the day. And if you were one of the smart people who looked at this race and went, shit, this is really hard to handicap. These are a lot of good horses here. I'm going to hit the all button. Congrats to you because you freaking nailed this one. Order of Australia leads Aiden O'Brien hitting the trifecta in a race that he hadn't won before. I think maybe he was getting a little sick of being asked about it. If you're ever going to win the mile, well, he said, yeah, I'm gonna do it right now. And I'm going to do it with an also eligible who only made it into the race because one master scratched, and did it with a jockey who was only on Order of Australia because one master scratched, and the jockey that's supposed to be on Order of Australia got COVID. So super spreader stuff aside, Order of Australia got lucky to get in here. Sometimes you need some racing luck. Gets the job done, pays $148.40 to win. If you had that ticket for $2, congrats. Aaron and Jared, your thoughts live from the Breeders' Cup.
Well, I mean, we'll talk for everybody here because unless you, like you say, unless you played all, it's one of those where you're just like, shit, you know, like what you can't even get mad. It's one of those you don't even get mad about because you're just like, I would never got there. I knew I was never there. And then saw much poor guy. We had him on here because I'm sure he had something to say about this race. He was live to some Soma bombs for some, like, I think 5K plus on the one. And of course, you know, this horse, when a horse like gets in a race just by default and wins, you can't really do anything but just be like, yeah, I mean, that was crazy. I guess the bigger talking point for me is the fact that, Digital Age was not good. Uni, I thought, ran well. She had way too much to do, but she made a run down the stretch. It was just a weird race. This is one of those of the day that you're just kind of like, I have no idea.
Can I be completely honest and you guys not judge me?
I'll try.
I thought the 15 was the 13, right? So I thought it was factor this, and I said, Jared, factor this has got him, you know. And it's just when they get 50 yards from me, I said, fuck, that's a 15. You know, I said, who the fuck's a 15? Like, I don't know. So yeah, I was really disappointed because I thought the 13 was winning the whole time.
Well, I texted you guys. I said that is one race I am very glad I ended up not betting other than the pick 4 sequence that just completely blew up on that first spot.
And what's funny is I was in the paddock before the race taking pictures and stuff, and there was a few guys and were like, this sums it up. They're like, who's on the 15? Like, no one knew because of the scratch, or of Simeon not being on the horse. You're like, who's on it? No one knew. So it was just a complete shit show. Yeah, exactly. Well, I guess some people had it.
The horses so the comment that came up, there were only 2 horses in the Breeders' Cup Mile that had first-time Lasix. They ran first and third, being the O'Brien horses. And then we've got 808 the Big Kahuna, who's sitting here redboarding like a mother effer, talking about how the Irish racing is the best in the world. Hey, where were you before this race went off? You didn't say anything. I'm going to mute you. So, no, I'm just kidding. You can keep coming. It's fine. No, I didn't mute him. I'm joking.
They just moved him to the barn I was in at the beginning. They just moved Curtis over. He's now running for service in the barn.
Hang on. No. Switch. There we go. We're back in the other barns now. We're good.
I thought he was just like his odds were just ridiculous. And I played him. I actually played him to win. I wish I included him in my pick 4 because that ultimately cost me my pick 4 that I didn't go all there because I used half the field but didn't use him. But I played him to win. Just on the way that the other turf races were setting up was that the horses in that like mid first to second flight were winning. And I just thought that's where he was going to be. And at 74 to 1, I mean, I didn't actually really think he was going to, but I put a couple bucks on him to win. And I mean, I was cheering for the 1 midway down the stretch to keep my pick 4 alive. So he made sense. He was just like one of those like results that kind of sucked because nobody from the back really moved.
I think this was the feel-good race for all bettors who had a bad day this day at the Breeders' Cup, and I'll tell you why. Because no matter how bad your day was, it could not have been worse than the jockey that was taken off of this horse. He came here from another country. He got COVID, and then he watched as two horses he was supposed to be on won millions of dollars. So whatever your day is, you have to be like, hey, I'm not that guy. You know, and prayers up for him. We wish you well.
He flies all the way over here to get COVID and watch his horses win. Like,
hey, at least he got to go to McCarthy's Thursday night.
I was just gonna say, at least you got to see it. Oh boy,
prayers up for him though.
Yeah, prayers up for him. All right, so I'll leave it up to you, Aaron. Do you want to talk about, keep going in order, we can go to the sprint next, or do you want to skip ahead a little bit and maybe talk about the dirt mile first?
Yeah, let's go. Let's talk about the dirt mile. We have a special guest for the dirt mile.
I see it. Oh.
Yeah.
We had a special guest, and she
Wait, hold on.
Wait, a special guest, and she left.
She left. She found out she was coming on. So I'll set things up. So Nick's Go comes into this race with just 2 starts for Brad Cox in 2020. And he's the 9-5 favorite, and we were all pretty high on him. And, you know, he had that mile in the 16th track record coming in that he set in the summertime. Well, boys, he sets another track record. He beats Liam Mapp's previous best that he set when he won this very race in 2015. Beats it by almost 3/4 of a second, gets the job done. The Cox train, this is what got it moving on Saturday, his 3rd of 4 Breeders' Cup wins. Heather Halterman joins us. What did you think about Nick's Go?
Well, to be honest, I didn't watch it.
All right.
Well,
Heather, though, that's your horse, right? Are you excited that Nick's Go won?
Yes. I was very excited. You were really excited.
can you give us a Nick's Go?
No. I am stone cold sober.
Only because Heather might get called into work and have to save someone's life tonight, and I don't think that's a good enough reason for her to be stone sober. But whatever.
The amazing thing about this horse is when that was a joke, right? It was like that horse was a joke. Okay,
Nick's Go.
That was the whole thing. That was what made it funny, the way she said it, and the fact the horse was awful, and to think this horse has turned into this. A Breeders' Cup winner now is pretty remarkable, really.
Well, I would say right now, we said on the show, on the preview show, where Jared and I were both like, we're really high on Nick's Go. We think Nick's Go is going to win. And we looked at each other and we're kind of like, boy, that could be really stupid when we come here on Saturday night.
And to be honest, halfway through the race,
okay,
we were like, yeah, that was really bad call.
Okay, so the first fraction comes up and it's 21.98, and we're like, well, this is going to be an absolute shit show. Wow, are we going to take some heat on this? Second fraction comes up about just as fast. It's
like 44 and something, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's probably going to stop.
42.
But Tough Luck Brad kept that horse going, and I'm really proud that Brad Cox with this horse. This is a different animal right now with Tough Luck Brad. So I was proud. Listen, Heather, I think this changed the whole day for me, babe. Right? Your horse changed the whole day.
New York bred, right? New York Gray Roan, my favorite.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey.
Listen, people who are watching this might go ahead.
That's how I pick them.
Oh shit, we got Heather.
I pick them by their color. That's how I pick them.
People who are watching might think that Heather really isn't good at handicapping horses, but do you guys remember the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies race that she got right and nobody could believe that she had it? I mean, she knows what she's doing when it comes to horse racing. I'm glad it rubs off on Aaron a little bit. Somewhat it worked out. All right, so the last question about the dirt mile here. Nick's Go was supposed to retire and go stand in Korea Racing Authorities, who actually owns this horse. And then they said after the race, they're like, he's doing pretty good. Maybe we keep him around one last time. So if Nick's Go makes one last start before he heads off to Korea, what's the perfect race for it? Is it the Pegasus? Is it the Clark? Is it the Cigar Mile? Where would you mostly want to put Nick's Go to give him one last big win before he takes off?
I would probably, I think his best shot to win would be the Cigar Mile for sure. But I think if you want to shoot for the moon, let's go for the Pegasus. Let's do it. Gulfstream, speed favoring track. Mile and an eighth. Hell, if you get an inside post, you might get out there to the lead and be hard to catch. And we looked at the Pegasus this year. Some horses that really aren't that great finished 1-2 in that Pegasus. So, Nick's go Pegasus winner. What do you think?
I mean, it's not like he's always been a sprinter or miler. I mean, he's ran some longer races, so I think it's possible. But yeah, I don't know if I would be that aggressive with him.
Pegasus. I mean, who's going to beat him? I mean, a lot of those horses from the Classic are going to go off to retirement. There aren't that many. A lot of them are going to try and go to the Saudi Cup and save up, like we saw for that. I think the way that he ran today, he can clearly handle the 2 turns. And Aaron brought up the great point about Gulfstream being speed favoring. Send him to the Pegasus. Let's go for broke one last time. If you can send this horse to Korea to stand, saying that he just went and won, he won the Breeders' Cup and then he won the Pegasus like City of Light did before he retired, his prospects as a stallion are through the roof.
Let's ask the owner, Heather, real quick. Heather, would you send him to the Cigar Mile, the Clark Handicap, or the Pegasus?
Go Pegasus.
Pegasus.
Yeah.
Yep. There you go. There you go. She's shooting
That's
for the
where
moon.
he's
We're going to the Pegasus.
The owner speaks.
Yep, the owner speaks.
Because I want to go to Florida.
Oh, hey, hold on. Now, if I'll ask Jared, if Nick's go was in the Pegasus, can Heather come to Florida?
Sure.
Well, sure.
Well, sure.
Heather's coming to Florida.
She's so excited about it.
Be in Pegasus. I mean,
Well, that's a good question, right?
Do you think Tiz Bilal might there or Authentic?
Authentic would probably be in it.
Yeah.
I think Tiz might. I don't know if he would ship him across the world. Do you guys? Or
Tacitus.
Improbable.
Tacitus? He'll be in it?
No, who wants to breed the
Tacitus will be
Tacitus?
in it.
Keep him running.
No.
Tom's being taught.
No, she'd probably be done until like May or something.
Maybe global campaign.
Global campaign. I could see that for sure. Yeah.
Maximum Security is going to go there because he won't be breeding to anybody anymore now.
Right.
Whitmore's a gelding. Maybe they send him to him.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, Nick's go could win the Pegasus, right?
There we go.
I feel like you're like asking me that.
I am trying to get you to do it.
Sleepy ass Todd.
Yeah.
We've put together quite the Pegasus field, guys.
Can't wait for 2021.
This is kind of my point, though. Is you hear how disinterested we are. We're like, well, maybe this horse, maybe this. I don't know. You don't know. One thing you know, Nick's Go is running his ass off right now. Go send him. The worst thing that happens is you go back to Korea and go, okay, he can't go in a mile and an eighth, but he can go a mile and a 16th, a mile faster than anybody. That's the worst thing that happens.
True. Yeah, you said it right.
And you got that tough luck Cox juice. So you never know.
Tough luck, Brad. Exactly.
Yeah, I think Tough Luck Cox is something different there. All right, did we exhausted the dirt mile? Can we go? We want to talk about the sprint now?
Yeah, let's talk about the sprint.
All right, Heather. So there, the horse Whitmore. You've been to Oaklawn. He's pretty much the king of Oaklawn at this point. 2017 goes to Kentucky Derby, doesn't do anything. They try the sprint with him. Yeah, he does pretty good. Then that year he got 8th. Then he goes back to the sprint in 2018. Then he gets 2nd. And then he tries again at Del Mar. All right, now he's 3rd. The 4th time Whitmore goes to the sprint when everybody's given up on him because he's run pretty poorly the last couple of races this year. That's when he gets the job done, catches in with a huge ticket there. Not a bet that I had, not a bet that Aaron and Jared had, but at least it's a feel-good bet, right, guys?
Yeah, absolutely. I've never been so happy to not cash a ticket here because I love Whitmore. I've loved Whitmore for many years. You talk about just an honest racehorse, and you talk about a horse that's just deserving to win a Breeders' Cup race. Absolutely. He is deserving to win this race. And it's really unbelievable how many times he's taken a crack at this thing and got beat by such good horses. You talk about Matoli last year, Rory H in a year,
2 years.
2008. Yeah, exactly. Where he Whitmore ran his ass off, but just got beat by Rory H, who was just better. Whitmore, I was absolutely thrilled. He won this race. Send him off to the pasture.
Yeah, it's time.
Yes,
right?
Let him enjoy his life. He has given us more than enough. what a way to go out. I love Whitmore.
It was surreal because if you got second or third, even if he won by like a nostril, I'd be like, well, that is whatever. But the way he won today, was unreal.
Felt like we were at Oakland Park watching the Count Fleet.
Yeah,
it
was, and honestly, you could tell real quickly that it's like, okay, I don't have him in anything, but I started rooting for him the whole entire stretch, just because it's Whitmore. We've been following this horse forever. It seems like, but no, I think we should also talk about what the hell was Asmussen doing in this race. Can we mention that?
Let's talk about it. So, yeah, exactly. So, what Jared is referencing, in case you only watch the Breeders' Cup races, is that we said it last night's show, recap show. It was the power play of the day at racingnews.com. Nashville in the opener was the biggest lock of the entire weekend. John White said that this was his biggest lock of the entire weekend, Breeders' Cup or not. Nashville wins the opener, sets a new track record, didn't even break a sweat doing it, and he was supposed to be in this race. And Asmussen said, well, I've also got Yopon, who's probably going to be the favorite now that Vacoma's out. We're going to move Nashville to this other race, and we're going to save him for the Malibu, because that's what everybody really points to with the campaign is we're going to pass the Breeders' Cup and go to the Malibu and try and win that. And then Yopon throws up a gigantic goose egg, probably because he didn't have the early lead. I'd love to hear from you guys who were there live. What was that whole situation like when he didn't get the lead? Did you know pretty much, he's out?
I mean, that was odd. You could tell pretty quick in that race, like that's not going to be. This is not going to go maybe how they had planned it. My first reaction was like, "What the hell was Asmussen thinking?" I mean, because it's not about Yopon as much as it's like Nashville could have won this race. I mean, I don't know if he just didn't show, if he bounced. I don't know what it was, but I mean, I was a little shocked that Yopon ran. I mean, really, if you look at that, the way this race ended, there wasn't a lot of form in this race.
Just a strange follow-up to like the greatest version of this race, if I remember correctly. I don't know. I thought this was going to – it's weird because I've never seen so many people sad that I've never seen so many people that didn't cash so happy for the horse that did win. And then Asmussen's the only one sitting there going, oh my gosh, probably. He's got the only – I mean, it was the feel-good race of the Breeders' Cup, right? I mean, this was awesome. Oh, yeah. And except for a few of the connections of that one horse.
I would say, like, I would like Asmussen's shot for this because I loved Nashville so much when he was pointing for this race. I thought, oh yeah, now we're going. And then Nashville chooses this stupid stakes race to start the card, where he ran like a second faster than Whitmore, by the way. I did in the sprint, and then it's like, well, if he's sending Nashville there, he's got to think Yopon's going to win. So I'm going to go to him. Thanks, Steve, you jerk. Because Yopon was a big disaster he was just awful. He was awful.
I don't think he was going to win, but he did have a lot of trouble in the stretch. I mean, I don't think he was going to win, but I mean, I think he could have. I think he probably could have at least gotten in that photo for third.
I watched him because I zeroed in on him when they were coming around the far turn, because I was like, what happened to him that he's not up front, and how is he going to react once he has to present a challenge? And he looked to me like a horse that just looked pissed. Like, I'm not in front. I'm not winning. F this. I don't want to do it. To Aaron's point, Nashville set the track record, 6 furlongs, 107.89, which is that's lightning fast even for Maidan. The track record was 108.43. Whitmore wins the sprint running all out to do it in 108.61. That's a huge ass effing difference. I mean, the power play streak stays alive, but
yeah, same day, same track, so it's very hard to kind of get past that. And that point, Magic, you're talking about a situation where Whitmore would have ran another second, like he would have ran a good second, and Nashville goes out and romps. So it's like, I don't know if it's just bad luck or if he just picked the wrong horse, but clearly Nashville was the one you wanted in this race.
It's really funny that Asmussen had Volatile, who beat Whitmore earlier in the year, right? So that he probably could have maybe won this race. And then he has two more that are in this race. It's like, all right,
Yeah, and
He's still going to win this
wrong
race.
one.
And he picked the wrong horse. I mean, it's really a bizarre thing that happened.
I'm sure he wishes he could have it back. It's just one of those things.
The other, if I'm watching the head on, and Echo Town actually kind of ruins all his chances and ruins Yopan's chances in the stretch. Echo Town's sitting in like the 3 path, and he comes out and slams into the horse that's next to Yopan, and Yopan's got who is it? Rosario was on Yopan. Had to pull him up a little bit, and then he got shuffled back, and that was it. That was so the other Asmussen kind of cost him. I think at least cost him probably placing. I don't think he was going to catch Whitmore either way, but that's a tough. I mean that does suck because if he just runs Nashville, he wins.
It's just crazy. And Aaron, to your point, you had said when it was looking like Nashville and Yopan were both going here, Nashville was going to be your top pick in this race. And I thought you were I was like, he's run twice. He's never been in a stakes race. Like, yeah, he's looked good, but Yopan's won a couple of stakes. And then I watched that first race and I went, well, this is why Aaron's the better boss who hired me, and I'm the one who got hired. So.
I mean, thanks for saying that, Magic. But it's one of those things. It just worked out that I was right there. I mean, you could do that and be wrong as well. And if you pay attention to the trainer, you kind of thought I was wrong. But yeah, I know. Listen, I think looking back at it, and again, hindsight is always 20/20, but it's very important to look back at a day and see where I did good and where I did bad. And this was definitely a bad race. This was one of the few races where we weren't even close, right?
Yeah.
A lot of races we lost by noses, heads. It's like, holy shit, how are we missing all these? But that race, it was just like, I don't know how I could have got to him. The only way I could have got to him is the race kind of fell apart in the weeks leading up. All the good, or I don't want to say good, but all the better horses were scratching out of the race or got hurt or whatever. And it's like, well, what we were left with is like, okay, Whitmore is probably the classiest horse in the race. But the problem is, and we talked about this, Vinny, I know you were on the feed when I was talking about it on the live feed. It's like, yeah, but he was so shitty lately. Like, he just didn't look like he was in his best form at all. So, but live and learn. I mean, when that race fell apart, all of a sudden Whitmore was one of the better horses in the race. At least should have been a use is what I'll say for me. But it wasn't, and you just got to move on from it.
Well, that's a good time to move on to the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf. And I teased this earlier when we talked about Tarnawa winning the Turf, but especially with the way that Aldaria beat Rushing Fall to win the Filly and Mare Turf, this had to tell you Tarnawa is so live in the Turf. It's not even crazy because she beat this horse last time out. But Aldaria denies Rushing Fall one last career victory. I was very sad, but good efforts from both of them. Aldaria, man, this just, again, Aaron, this validates what you and I had been saying after watching these replays about some of these horses. We're like, this is a legit, really good horse. And honestly, the fact that we had such a big price on Aldaria, I mean, did you feel like you stole a little bit of money getting her at that kind of a price?
Absolutely. Yeah. This was the most excited I've been after a Breeders' Cup race ever. To pick a 17-1 winner on top. That was a highlight for me of any Breeders' Cup I've ever handicapped. I was really excited. I felt terrible for Rushing Fall because I thought she ran a hell of a race. I mean, I thought she ran a winning race. She looked like a winner. And again, Magic, sometimes, you talk about, hey, you were really smart here. Well, sometimes it just works out, and it worked out like I thought. If this race is a mile and an eighth, Aldaria does not win. But that mile and 3/16, it's just a little too far for Rushing Fall. It's not that she can't get it. It's just that's not her absolute best distance. And it is for Aldaria. And again, Magic, thank you for pointing out how freaking good Tarnawa was. So it's like this horse only got beat a length by Tarnawa, and now I think she's going to win. She ran a brave race. I thought the middle move, and Vinny, I think you pointed it out earlier, whether it was on the live stream or maybe before we went on air. The middle move was fantastic to get that horse into the position that she needed to be. She saved a lot of ground in this race. From the 11 hole, that's a really good ride, crafty ride of the week, maybe on the Magic Mike show. But then swung out when needed to and just passed her. I was really, really stupid excited about it. and 17-1. I just can't believe it. I can't. When the morning line was 12-1, I thought, well, that's not even going to be close. She's going to be 6-1, 8-1, 17-1.
I know.
I couldn't believe it. I am just over the moon about this. Yeah.
Last I looked, she was like 10 or 11, and then whenever she finished, she was 17. I'm like, damn, that was great. Yeah, it's for Rushing Fall, it's brutal. It
absolutely is,
because she ran I thought she ran a great race live. Watching it, the replay, it even solidified that she ran huge. I mean, she threw it down. But she just that distance, and we've made mention of it. You guys have made mention of it a lot, where it's just like there's a reason why they've avoided this race, that it's not her perfect distance, and it showed up today because when you got those internationals coming in, it is their perfect distance, and it just showed up. But she ran a huge race, and you can't take anything away from her. I think. What did you guys think of like the lack of everything? Sister Charlie was nowhere to be found. I mean, this is one of those that you could. Rushing Fall showed up, but a few of these other ones I thought didn't.
I thought that the middle move there from the jockey of Andaria, Pierre Charles, I don't know how to say his last name.
Boudreaux.
Okay.
I saw him in McCarthy's Thursday.
He won. I mean, that middle move really won the race. You look at everybody else who finished, because Sister Charlie finished sixth by less than in a photo with Civil Union, but with the exception of Rushing Fall, the other top 6 finishers were all strung out in the back of the pack for the first half of the race. So that pace completely fell apart, and for Rushing Fall to be able to nearly hold on like that was incredible. So I thought the race overall played really well. I mean, Lady Prancelot closed well. Harvey's Little Goyle, who I actually almost included in the top. I almost included her in my top 4 because I thought she was really good. She gets up for third, and she was actually a lot closer than I thought. She could have, if the race was a little farther, she might have been right there too in that win photo. So
yeah, sorry, no, keep going.
Yeah, like that was the closers. I mean, that was a race where I thought the pace really fell apart there.
Yeah, you end up seeing, so Mean Mary sets the pace. She fades to 7th, and then Harvey's Little Goyle led this 4-horse rally from the rear that Vinny's talking about, and she gets the better of Lady Prancelot, Civil Union, Sister Charlie, Nay Lady Nay, My Sister Net. Chad Brown had 4 horses in this, and only one of them finished in the top 5. Like, this sounds like it hit what Chad Brown was starting to have that problem over the summer and into the fall, where all of a sudden his horses were just throwing up brick after brick after brick, and you're trying to figure out what the hell is happening. He's got 4 in a race, none of them hit the board. So at least Rushing Fall saved him from that embarrassment. This race, but Jared, the trends, some of them haven't played out on Saturday, but this one continues. The last 9 races were either won by Chad Brown or a European horse, and it was split down the middle. And we were really split down the middle until the final stage of this race. So at least your trends continue one more year.
Yeah, it was. You kind of knew pretty, that it's going to go one way or the other. But yeah, the trends. Chad Brown and the Euros dominate this race, and like you mentioned, he had a bunch in this race. Chad did, and they couldn't get it done. But it's just one of those. I think it's tough, but it can help someone. I think narrow down. Playing these pick 4s and whatever. Narrow down those because It's happening more and more. Chad Brown and the Euros. It's pretty simple.
All right, let's move. So no, go ahead, Aaron. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say one thing real quick. You had a question on. It was either the pre-entries or the entries show, Magic, where you said who's the best or who's the most likely to have Ophir.
Yep.
Right. It was Chad Brown, and I alluded to the fact that Chad Brown had kind of a weaker bunch, and this was definitely the race that he didn't have a weak bunch. Let me be honest about that. I mean, Rushing Fall is one of my favorite horses, and it killed me to pick against her. I'm really effing glad I did. But Chad Brown, other than this race, really didn't have a lot of just standouts, in this Breeders' Cup, and so he gets the Ophir. I said Tough Luck Bob, and Tough Luck Bob got 2, so that was really stupid. And you also asked about Brad Cox, who had 4. So Chad Brown was the clear answer there, Magic, and I missed that one for sure. And before we go on, real quick, Ryan, are you angry about anything that happened here?
No. Ever since the bond shift, the anger is gone.
If you look at how Ryan has even been sitting from how we started the live stream to now, he's just laid back like this. Like the lidocaine is in full effect right now. Ryan is really feeling everything, and he is completely mellowed out on some of that real good California stuff. So
I feel Ryan.
let's we got one last turf race to talk about, the $1 million Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. This is another one, Jared. Unfortunately, the trends got busted because a European horse, for the first time in 13 years of this race being held, gets the job done. I'm of the opinion that actually should not have been the winner because of what happened in the stretch caused a lot of horses, including our poor Imprimis, to get shuffled way back. But nobody throws up the inquiry sign or the challenge sign, and Glass Slippers gets the win. She beats the boys, and this is the second straight year now that we've seen a female win the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. Jared, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll quickly bounce it back to you guys because we had a hard time kind of seeing what happened, but it definitely felt like something had happened in that stretch and kind of created some chaos, so to speak. So what happened?
Vinny, do you want to take it away? Because I feel like I might go a little Ryan on Bob Baffert here if I give my real opinion.
No, actually, I didn't actually see the head on. I was on Glass. I had Glass Slippers, so I was
nice.
I was following her. Though I was following her the whole race because she saved ground. So when I saw your tweets after saying that there should be an inquiry, and they never showed it again on my on the feed I was watching, so I didn't see it.
Oh boy, Ryan, were you mad about that? Were you as mad about that as you were about how we were treating your boy Bob Baffert earlier?
I think we should let you go. You're sitting on go, and the world wants to hear how you go for it.
No, I was kidding. I don't have to have that. So it's hard because Glass Slippers came off the rail at the same time. A couple of horses were advancing, others were slowing. It was, I think it might have been a chain reaction. I do think that Glass Slippers kind of bowled her way through, and that's how she got the room to move in the stretch off the rail. And it caused a lot of horses to back up and to check. But then you get into the discussion of, well, if she was faster and they were slowing down and she was going to beat them anyway, did it really affect how the race ended? I say yes, because Irad Ortiz Jr. was riding an Imprimis, and if you've ever watched him in a race where Irad has to check in the stretch, he just drops the reins and gives up and stands up. So I feel like Imprimis could have been better than second to last in that race. But that was how I saw it. You guys were there live, where they, as you just put up, the 6th highest handle for the Breeders' Cup in history with no fans. That's pretty damn awesome. What did you guys see live, and kind of what was the reaction in the atmosphere when Glass Slippers came across first?
You want that?
I really don't care about this race, to be honest. It's just like I don't know.
Our viewership has literally gone in half since we started talking about this race.
Yeah, because nobody gives a shit. I mean, the thing about this race is it was just weird, But I had Glass Slippers in the picks and the pick 4 and pick 5s, so that was good. But this was a strange race, and I think Magic, you're right. I mean, here's the deal. I was there live, right? So I'll admit, this is one I have not watched the replay of because I don't really care. But the thing that happened here is I'm watching Imprimis and Leinster because that's the two that I feel like I had the most like writing on. And they went from, okay, they're in a pretty good spot. Okay, they're in the stretch and they're on the inside. And I think we've got a shot here to, where did they go? What happened to those horses? I don't see them anymore. So obviously something happened. But you guys, I think, not being there live can speak a lot better to this because I haven't seen the replay. It just seemed like they went from they're in contention to, yeah, they're off the board.
Leinster finished 3rd.
Leinster was coming, but the Leinster, I think, was farther outside. That it's turf sprints where the littlest thing can cause a horse to not win. And if you have to tap the brakes just once, these are quarter horses on turf that you stop their momentum, they're done. So whether or not there was something nefarious that happened there, and not that the jockey did it on purpose, he's trying to win a damn Breeders' Cup race, but I don't know. That was my opinion. I was more, when I tweeted about it, I was more just shocked and surprised that there was no inquiry, there was no stewards action, that no jockeys objected. I'm like, if I'm a jockey and half the horses in this field, I'm gonna throw an objection because of what happened in that spot. But well, I'm just sitting here behind a keyboard, so I guess it doesn't matter. All right, we got one last race to talk about. This is the Filly and Mare Sprint. This is what kicked off the Breeders' Cup Saturday action. Boy, I was big on Serengeti Empress, especially after Nashville won that opener. I thought for sure that the theory we had about Serengeti Empress, where she battles with Gamine and then has the ability to hold on and win while Gamine drops anchor. Well, that didn't happen because John Velasquez showed why he's in the Hall of Fame. Boy, he went to the lead. He saw Serengeti Empress being ridden hard. He tapped on the brakes, and he showed for the first time Gamine is a very rateable horse. Aaron, this is what started off the unfortunate. Actually, this is the second of 3 Tough Luck Bob wins on the card at Keeneland. Yeah. What did you think about Gamine seeing her live?
Well, I tried to tell everybody coming into this race that there's not going to be an epic pace meltdown like people thought, right? Because because the deal is very, very simple, and it played out absolutely exactly like I thought it would. The only difference was I thought Swiss Skydiver would hold on, and Gamine just flew right by. So I didn't get the winner right, obviously, but the pace scenario was exactly what I thought. You have 2 pure speed horses in the race. And Serengeti Empress, you know exactly what she's going to do. There's no question about it. She's going right to the front. Everybody knows that. So the situation is, if I'm Johnny Velasquez, if I'm going to go with her and be pressed on the rail the whole way, or am I going to take back and take my chances? And that's exactly what he did. And guess what? Every other horse in the race can't run with those 2. So there's not going to be a speed duel. It's 1 horse in front by 2 going fast, but that's what she does, and 1 horse stalking. And what I got wrong is the horse that was stalking just was absolutely a monster and the best horse, right? But you take her out of the race and Serengeti Empress would have won, but she couldn't. I mean, that horse, Gamine, I mean, that was just a monster performance, right? I was super worried that was going to happen. I talked about it last night a little bit because I knew that was the trip she was going to get. I knew she was not going to go head and head on the rail, pinned inside with that horse. I mean, that's just lunacy to think that was going to happen. And she sat and she pounced, and that's really all there was. I mean, this was a really, as much as I hate to say it, this was a really impressive performance by Gamine. Hopefully she doesn't test positive. 3rd time's a charm, maybe, but hopefully she doesn't.
So the 2 times that she has nope, never mind. That was about a different horse. I'm thinking about Bernice. Never mind. Jared, you were there live. When you saw Gamine just start to make that move off the turn, did your butthole just clench a little bit because you're like, shit, she's going to beat Serengeti Empress, and that's a horse that you especially have been very polarizing with.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I my eyes were focused on Serengeti because I love that horse, and knowing, she's blazing. See how fast she, he's like, well, she's one of the rare horses that you don't have to even look at the fractions. You're like, just run, just go and see if you can get there. So my eyes were on her and Gamine, because to me, Gamine was the only horse that I felt like could beat her. And you knew pretty quick, you had an idea, like, damn it, Tough Luck Bob, he's got this horse ready. And she kind of loomed up next to her, and you're like, this is over. I mean, and she was impressive. You have to be careful kind of just putting her away like, oh, well, ball back or whatever. But that was impressive. She's a very good horse. Running this distance, she's proven to be almost unbeatable, if not unbeatable. So, she's just very good. And Serengeti Empress ran great, like Halterman said, ran second, held on for second. It's unfortunate that in her last start that she couldn't, get a win. But I mean, Gamine, we talked about this earlier from Vinny. She made a case for the 3-year-old filly because she has been unbelievably good.
Boy, we got a special guest here right under the wire. My co-host of the Magic Mike Show, Mike Samich. Mike, I understand you had a lot of issues trying to get it to the live stream because your pants are so heavy. You needed like 3 helicopters to hold them up just so you could walk to the car and get back to your hotel. We're talking about Gamine. So before we get into your huge day and a huge,
I got to go then.
You came here just for the best part, talking about Tough Luck Bob and Gamine. Just real quick, your thoughts when you saw Gamine just completely scorch up Serengeti Empress in the Filly and Mare Sprint.
Shit. I mean, that's about it. I mean, she ran a huge race. I didn't think she was capable of that. And I made that very clear on our live show on Monday. Aaron put me in my place, and he was right about that one. I was shocked she was able to stalk and win. I thought she had to go to the lead to be able to do it. And she was impressive today, man. I'm just wondering, do I get to cash my exacta, the 7-9 exacta I played, if she comes back positive?
You did text us about that. We had someone right at the very start, Mike, that gave us a comment on our reaction if Gamine or Authentic specifically came back positive. I'm like, well, we can't say what our reaction would be, but we'd also be, yeah, well, we're not surprised about it, right?
No, I mean, unfortunately, it's an is what it is situation, right? I mean, and you got to handicap it. I mean, that's the best way to put it. You got to think if you're betting money on it, you're essentially agreeing to the situation, and you've got to figure out how to take that into account to make sure that you're dealing with it the best way possible for yourself.
Well, we got a question that just came in. I think it's a pretty good one because we were talking about before with Nick's go. Do you retire him or do you try and bring him back? Maybe the Clark, the Cigar, or the Pegasus. Question came in: should Gamine try the Clark or Cigar? The Cigar, especially, I think could be a good fit for. I just don't know that Bob Baffert really likes to go to Aqueduct that often. But Aaron and Jared, I'll start off with you guys. Should Gamine try the Clark or Cigar for her next start?
Well, Heather said Nick's go is going to the Pegasus, so she doesn't have to worry about that horse. So if that is the case, I would Clark absolutely 1,000,000% not for Gamine. Cigar Mile, yeah, I would think about it.
What about the Malibu?
That's what I was thinking.
Well, the Malibu is
there's a female version with the same amount of money called the La Brea on the same card that's 7 furlongs. So I would do that and let Nashville win the Malibu.
That's fair.
That is
That's boring.
It's tough luck, Bob. I mean, come on, he's going to go for where the easy money's at there.
Just run her in both.
She'll re-break in the Malibu.
Raise your hand if you'd be surprised by that one. No, nobody? No. Okay. Oh, Ryan's got a hand up, but that's because Ryan, he's a big Bob Baffert defender. So, all right. So we talked about the Philly Mare Sprint. We talked about everything that's on the card. Mike, just real quick, because I want you to save it for the Magic Mike show when we can really get into it. Plus, it's been almost an hour and a half. I don't want to keep, killing people's time here on Saturday night. But real quick, your overall impressions of the BC contest, your impressions of how well Gulfstream Park did hosting it for you, and then tell us how you did.
Yeah, it was a blast. Highly recommend anyone who can try and get into it to get into it. One of the coolest parts about these live tournaments is the camaraderie. We were put there's about 20 people playing from Gulfstream, and we were spread out. I was one of the first people there, so I sat down in this room, and a couple guys ended up sitting with me there, Justin and Rich and Ryan, and the four of us played together both days. And it's just some of the best parts about going to the track is hanging out with friends and talking horses. And when you're playing these tournaments, you're hanging out with people who love horses, and you're talking about what you're betting. You're rooting for each other. You start swearing when the room next to you goes nuts because someone in there hit something. So it's just a really fun experience. And if you have the chance to try and qualify for any of these live tournaments, I highly recommend it. Everyone's rooting for everyone as long as they're around you, right? You're kind of not happy when the other rooms go nuts, but when it's your room, everyone's excited, and it's a lot of fun. And I've never played $1,000 straight exactas, never played $200 straight tries before, so that was interesting. Definitely kind of changes how you bet a little bit because you're trying to just blow up the tote. And when some guy has $28,000 to win on Essential Quality and it has $130,000 from 7,500 after a day, you realize you're chasing a little bit. So you gotta start getting aggressive. So it was a lot of fun, man. It was a blast, and definitely worth doing it. Definitely going to try and qualify for the Pegasus tournament down here in January, and then see what we can do moving forward. I'd love to be back here or back at Keeneland or wherever it's held next year as well.
That's awesome. So you left out the most important part, though. You profited, right?
Yeah, I finished 28th. I ended up with 20 grand, which was nice. I took a big time swing in the last race to try and I had two entries. I had 1,300, or I had 2,000 left on one. I had 2,200 left on the other. Top 15 got a BC seat. So the 20 grand one, I tried to move into the top 15. I'm sorry, I got an NHC seat. So I tried to move into the top 15 for the NHC seat. And then I may have bet a $2,000 straight try in the last to try and win the whole thing. So we had some fun. We took a swing on the last race, and we ended up, walking out with 20 grand, and I qualified for this thing for about $600. So no complaints there.
So as your loyal partner on the podcast and your NHC cheerleader, I got to ask, since I wasn't there, you brought your lovely wife, Jenna. did she jump up and down like a crazy maniac after you qualified for the things and after you started making a lot of money? Or was she like a normal human being and more reserved and went, oh, Mike just made us a whole bunch of money. I'm going to start figuring out things to improve in the house with it. I
mean, you clearly have not been married as long as I have. She was in the spa and buying a purse when I was doing this. So. Yeah.
That's the best answer. Michael Myers has a question for you. By the way, Michael, you did a great job on the live show today. I heard a lot of good things about how you did. And Mike, I don't know if you saw this. He gave out his pick 4 ticket that he did with Rob in Kentucky. They hit the late pick 4. You and I didn't hit it.
No.
I think to give Michael and Rob their own podcast. But anyways, he wants to know, how does he qualify for the Pegasus tournament so he can join you?
Horsetourneys.com, best win place show or site in the world. They've got qualifiers right now for as low as I think it's like $18, where you can super qualify in, and then it's like a $6,000 seat. So you have to beat. I think the qualifiers right now, you can qualify into a $400 tournament where 1 in every 15 people are able to get a seat down here, and you get a free ticket and you get a lounge area that you're going to play on Pegasus Day. So it's a blast. It's a lot of fun too. Like NHC is crazy because you're playing 7 tracks and races are going off every 10 minutes. And it's just nuts. I mean, Magic, you were there. Your attention's all over the place. What's really cool about this is you have 30 minutes between the races. You got plenty of time to make a decision. I mean, I had an iPad watching college football while playing the BCBC so that I could, because you don't need to be making a decision every 5 minutes. You really just, we handicapped everything this week. I didn't need to do any handicapping today. So it was really just enjoying the time and hanging out and talking horses and watching football.
Well, that's awesome. Congratulations to you. You had a hard-fought season in terms of tournament play, so I'm glad that it paid off for you. I know the Selma Bombs were live to some pretty big scores, and you just missed in the mile there. But overall, I'm glad to hear you did a big day. Sorry, I didn't mean to bring it. We'll talk more about that. So this is my way of saying tune into the Magic Mike show on Monday. We can hear more all about Mike's experiences because, God damn it, we've talked about every race today, and I just can't do it again. So one last time, I want to get from you guys before we sign off here, just your overall impressions and maybe who you thought was the best horse of the weekend. We'll go left to right, top to bottom, starting with Aaron Halterman.
Well, let me say 2 things, Magic. Number one, if you followed the article that Jared and I did in the guide, you made $313 today. So congratulations, everybody that did that. But here is the key. This is why I bring it up, and this is the key. I tell people all the time, don't forget to play the win. When it's a strong opinion, play to win. That kept us alive. That kept that bankroll right around even. Playing $100 to win on Monomoy Girl. Playing Golden Pal for $50. Playing $10 to win on Daria. That kept you in the game. That kept you from having to reload that Twin Spires account or TVG account or Naira Bets account, whatever you use. And then all of a sudden you press your opinion in the turf and you hit a $360 exacta. And now you've got money. But you could have been down $200-$300 if you forgot to bet the wins, if you forgot to press those opinions. And, that is the main thing that you need to remember when you're playing any card, whether it's a Breeders' Cup card or Thursday at Aqueduct. If you love a horse, just bet that horse to win. And really, we probably messed up on one with Nick's Go. We bet an exact and we got beat by that far. So anyway, but that's the main thing I want to take away as far as the betting goes. As far as the Breeders' Cup, this was really just a great Breeders' Cup. I hated the ending. I really hated the ending. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I hated the Tough Luck Bob ran one too. It sucked. But to see Tarnawa, to see Adaria, to see Monomoy Girl go off a champion, and to see Whitmore go off a champion, it was really special stuff. I feel very blessed that we were one of the few that could be there. Thank you, the Breeders' Cup, for letting a couple of us go from the racing dudes. I wish it could have been all of us. I truly do. But this is a close second to be here with you guys. So I'm just really pumped that we got to see so many champions go out as winners.
Jared.
Yeah. I mean, I think Monomoy Girl was my favorite. I went into the Breeders' Cup as my best bet of the Breeders' Cup, and she easy for me. So. I think she was the best. And to kind of to piggyback off what he said, I think I was really proud of how we kind of, yesterday was tough. We did, this really the story of the Breeders' Cup for us on the tickets was we just barely missed everything. but we pressed our opinions really hard on the ones we really liked, and we were able to cash and make a profit. And I think you have to be versatile when it comes to these kind of bets, and you can't just bet one thing or the other. If we would have bet trifectas both, every race, we probably would have got killed because it felt like the theme of the Breeders' Cup was just almost. But pressing those exactas and pressing the win bets is what really helped us. So Monomoy Girl, the $100 to win on her, that was huge.
Vinny.
I think Monomoy Girl and Whitmore definitely for me that kind of made the weekend pretty cool to see both of them go out. I had Monomoy Girl, did not have Whitmore, but two horses that seemed like basically are fan favorites at this point, and to see both of them win was really cool. Ryan?
I just want to shout out racing in 2020, man. We were pretty blessed. So many sports didn't have it like this, like from the fact that so many tracks did wind up keeping it open when everything shut down. I want to shout out the dudes. You guys helped fans like me. You guys helped people make money. You guys work so hard. And I hope whoever isn't happy with the Breeders' Cup in any which way that you still love this game, because we're just so blessed to even get to be a part of it, to have things like this. So keep it up, and God bless racing, and let's get it even better in 2021, man.
God, if you started the podcast, you fast forwarded an hour, and then you heard Ryan at the end there, you think we brought on a different Ryan. Ryan, I'm glad to hear that the lidocaine and all that other California legal stuff that you have over there have been kicking in for you. Mr. Samich, please take it over. Your last thoughts on the Breeders' Cup.
Tanawa, man. I mean, wow. That you have Channel Maker running a New York pace up front, and that horse is second to last, and the jockey is just sitting chilly to the top of the turn, and you're just like, oh, shit. Really? Like this deal, like Channel Maker's going to wire him, and they're like, oh, 92 right on by. Like that horse was so impressive, and I was blown away. Like Simeon had just so much patience riding that horse. Took it 3 wide the whole time. He knew he was on the best horse, and man, did she deliver. I mean, she won easy. That's 4 in a row for her now. It's awesome to see these horses come over and run in the Breeders' Cup in North America. I wish I was able to see her. I thought that was a just amazing performance.
Pretty damn awesome. I'm going to leave things off by saying that I learned, and I actually talked with Brandon Bauer, B Money, who used to help us out with the site. We agreed on the same thing. Us not being at the Breeders' Cup was really good for our wallets, because I've never had the profitable kind of day that I did or over this weekend at the Breeders' Cup. And Brandon said the same thing. And part of it, I think, is not being caught up in the atmosphere and just firing away shots all over the place because of the adrenaline hits. But, I've learned, and thanks to every single one of you who's on this show with me, that well, maybe not Ryan, but Ryan's anger from Bob Baffert is still kind of getting to me. But no, I'm just kidding, Ryan. No, seriously though, I learned to pick your spots, and when you're sure of something, push the hell out of it. And that's honestly what kept me from having a bad. I mean, I had a very, very profitable, not as good as Mike, but I had a profitable weekend nonetheless. So I'm glad to hear that kind of the consensus here is that we all were picking our spots. And when we had those strong opinions, man, we pushed the hell out of them. And I want to give a special shout out to Scott Thomas. He's one of our regular followers for both Blinkers Off and the Magic Mike Show. He sent us a really nice email talking about how he hit over $9,000 just because of listening to us with the podcast, with the guides. Mike, you'll like this because you and I couldn't agree on the mile. He hit the all button, and that's a big reason why he cashed with the pick 4 ticket there at the end. So for the players like Scott, for the fans who have followed us all year long through this crazy ass pandemic that we've been going through, thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. It's not over. It's horse racing. There's all sorts of races happening all over the country next year. Aaron's going to have to handicap those and put them up on the site. So make sure you go to racenews.com. Check out the handicapping products page. If you're feeling a little bit about Del Mar on Sunday, go see what he's got going on. Mike will have the Samo bombs. Plenty of action going on. So, gentlemen, thank you so much. I'll let you do one last little sign off here, and then we'll close things out.
Me? You want me to go first?
It's your show.
Yeah. Thanks, Magic. I guess I'll just sign off by bragging on everybody on the team, right? Thank you, Magic, for writing 9 recaps of the Breeders' Cup today and working all day. Thanks, Vinny, for jumping on with Saratoga Slim. Thanks, Saratoga Slim, for hosting the live show. Thank you, Ryan, for getting mad. And thank you, Samich, for representing there at Gulfstream and making a shit ton of money. And thanks, Jared, for just being my best friend.
Oh, wow.
Aw.
Oh, God, I could have used it without that last little bit. Well, okay, so at least you guys know, you can see in the video footage here if you're watching, there's just one bed in that hotel room. So that's kind of why there's a little bit of man love going on there.
No.
The lights turn off, the beds go together. It's just like I Love Lucy.
It's an extra king size.
Jared,
No.
your final thoughts.
Well, now my final thoughts are swayed because I'm can't concentrate. Thank you.
Think about later.
No, but just the fact that even though it's the first Breeders' Cup since we've really been going, for the most part, there's a few before, but without having you guys with us, or at least a couple of you guys, and it was weird at first, but doing these and for people that don't know, after yesterday's show, we sat here and bullshitted for like an hour on the feed just because, and it actually felt more like a Breeders' Cup than any of the rest of the stuff we did. So, it was just nice to kind of do these and kind of enjoy the Breeders' Cup together, even though you guys aren't here.
All right, that's going to close things out. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Blinkers Off. Like I said, on Monday at 5:30 Eastern, 2:30 Pacific. Come back right here, however you're watching or listening to us. Mike and I will be there for the Magic Mike Show. We're going to dive a lot deeper into his experiences from the BCBC, and since he joined us late, he's going to give us his thoughts on all the races as well. Make sure you're following everybody on Twitter. I am at Curtis Kellard. He is at Samobomb18. The corporate overlords at Racing_Dudes. You can follow Vinny Blonde at Picks by Dynasty. Ryan Stillman, I found out yesterday you're not on Twitter anymore because someone was praising your ability to rap the lyrics and everything for the shows, and I tried tagging you, and you're not there. So you're not there, but you're at least here with us on the show. We appreciate that. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Congratulations on a very successful Breeders' Cup to everybody at home. We'll see you again next time.
Thanks, guys.